Well, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you so much, Mohammed, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak about my experience as IMG in the US. So I'm going to start to a little bit with my journey. Basically, I'm from Colombia. I have my medical degree from Bogota, Colombia. I have 3 years of experience as clinician. Um, Basically, then in 2019, I decided to quit my job to travel around Central America and South America. So that was at the end of 2019. My idea was to travel for 1 year and at some point try to join Doctors Without Borders to be able to work more with the community directly. So um, that was my idea. However, the pandemic started in 2020, and it's this almost the same time that I arrived to the US. I came only to practice English because I didn't speak English 4 years ago, 5 years ago. So I wanted to just practice English to apply to Doctors Without Borders, and it's when the pandemic started and I couldn't come back. My plan A, that it was traveling, it was canceled because of the because because I didn't want to go to Guatemala and get stuck there. My plan B, that was to join Doctors Without Borders, it was also canceled because in the moment the pandemic started, they changed and they changed priorities and they declined my application. And my plan C was to come back to Colombia, and I couldn't come back to Colombia either because the borders were closed due to the pandemic. So that left me with not too many options. And in the middle of all of that, I feel that I got stuck here in the US. I didn't have too many options more than try to figure out what to do here. And I'm a very persistent person. And I thought, like, okay, if I'm here in the US, let's see how can I practice medicine. Of course, I learned about the USMLE, that I'm sure that all of you are familiar with this test. Um, it was a difficult decision. I think it took me more than 1 year to realize that I was lost in my path because nobody has a plan B. I think so. So we all know that the step one and the USMLE, it's a very difficult test. It requires a lot of effort. It requires discipline. It requires like also like an investment in like a financial investment. Unfortunately, I will say that in the moment that I decided to do the test, I wasn't in the best mental health space. I was trying to figure out my life, and I started a relationship in that moment here, and I was trying to figure it out if I should stay or leave, or if I stayed, how can I organize my legal status to be able to work and function here normally. So in that moment, I will say that I faced the first challenge that I'm going to talk about, that it was the difficulties adapting as a new immigrant. It's something that I wish more people would have talked about. Maybe the fact that I didn't come here to stay, I wasn't so familiar with this type of topics. So it was a surprise for me. I also will say that it's very important to have basic life skills that I didn't have. I didn't know how to cook. I didn't know how to drive. I didn't know how to speak the language well. So that made it more difficult for me. I will say that the fact that I also didn't come to stay, it took a big toll in my mental health at the beginning. So what I did was, as a solution, as part of my adaptation, it was to find group that provide resources to immigrants. I use social media. There are groups in Facebook, there are groups in Instagram, there are like different type of groups that to support immigrants, and that was my first step. Um, I didn't speak too much English. Now I'm working in English, but at the beginning, I focus in personal skills in the language. So I was trying to socialize at the beginning, first in English, and then I had my next solution was to do networking. And basically, I this is something that I said to everyone, like, when you are new in a place, you really need to put yourself out in the world to get to know new people and to like just have more opportunities. I used to be very shy, but when I came after being in here, I really had to get out of my shell to socialize, to find my own network, to find my own tribe, to find my own people. So that really helped me to be more outgoing in my personality, and that played a key role for me to develop my career here. So after I felt a little bit more adapted in the country, I decided to see what can I do as a physician without a license in the US. My plan was to study for step one and to try to find something to do in the meantime, because in that moment I was in a relationship, starting a relationship with my husband. And dependence, it was something that it was very hard for me. So I tried to do more than just study. And it's when I faced the next challenge, that my next challenge was not understanding the healthcare system and the education system in the US. In my country, it works. As I said, I'm from Colombia, and our healthcare system and education system works completely different. Just the fact that Colombia was one of the few countries that didn't compensate the residents during the residence program, that made that it was very difficult. Basically, you have to pay again to get your specialty. So that wasn't an option for me. That's the reason that I tried to look for other options. So yeah, when I came here and I tried to understand, okay, what can I do? I really didn't know what were my options because I didn't understand. So part of what I have to do to understand, and my solutions were to do research, like simple research, Google, how does the healthcare system works in the US, how the education system work in the US. I also talked to a lot of people, and every person that I knew, I was telling them what was my idea and what is what I wanted to do here in the US. And somebody was going to recommend, like, hey, I know someone that works in healthcare. Would you be interested to talk to them? And I said yes to everyone. So I definitely talked to many, many people. And some of them, people with experience in healthcare in the US, they helped me to identify different paths that I could take as a physician without a license. Um, Another solution, it was to use social media, and specifically professional social media like LinkedIn. In my country, I wasn't using that, but here it's definitely something that has helped me to connect. Not only in the region, I actually connect with Mohammed through LinkedIn as well. So it's been a helpful tool. The other solution was to identify, we all know, or at least in my experience, I heard that the only paths that I had as an IMG were to work in research or to work in a pharmaceutical. So of course, what I did was to find all the universities that had a med school, and I just make a list of the universities, laboratories, pharmaceuticals, and I was reaching out to people through all the sources that I mentioned to do informational interviews. That it's something that I'm going to talk more about it at the end, because informational interviews were a great tool for me to just get to know someone, help them to get to know me better, understand better the system, find maybe options that I wasn't thinking about. So I did more than 35 informational interviews with people that I didn't know. After applying these solutions, I found my first opportunity here in the US, that it was in a lab, in a laboratory. I was basically volunteering because I didn't have my legal status defined in that moment, so I couldn't legally work in the country yet. So I sent 50 emails to all the laboratories that I found from Washington University, and I basically offered myself as a volunteer. Now, when I look back, it wasn't the best. What I wrote wasn't the best approach. I will say that my self-esteem professionally was pretty low, so I felt like I was begging for an opportunity, and I didn't know how to sell myself. So I found a friend through one of my friends in a house party. One day I was speaking about what I was doing, about sending emails trying to find a volunteering position. And one of my friends said, I know someone that works in a laboratory. And I found, and I connected with that person. And I volunteered for 9 months doing cancer research, developing anti-cancer drugs. So I thought that was a very cool opportunity. I never, in developing countries or in my country specifically, we don't have too much emphasis in research. So I didn't have any experience doing what I was doing, and it was a great opportunity. I really loved working there. I mean, volunteering there. Um, when I got the when I got in the at the end of those 9 months, I got my green card, and I had a chance to work in the laboratory. And I went to the interview, and I said to the director of the laboratory, I appreciate the opportunity, but research is not for me, and I'm going to try to find something that suits, like, fits better my skills, because I believe that I'm more of a people person, and be doing research, and specifically genetic and cancer research, it's pretty isolated. I will say you don't have too much collaboration or directly work with the community or with people. So I regretted that decision of saying no to that job for a little bit, because it took me more than 6 months to find another job. But I really know, and I truly believe that I could find something better for me. Not better, but something that suit better what I want to do with my career, because that was a very good option. Um, I end up, so it's when I find my next challenge. I said no to that opportunity, but I didn't know what are my options. I still didn't know what were my options on how to sell myself. So my next challenge was understanding my soft and hard skills as a physician, and how to extrapolate those in a different job, in a different job than direct patient care. So basically, it's like in my education, I didn't understand that I was a part of a bigger picture. I thought that I was a doctor that sees patients, but I didn't know how the skills that I had as a doctor, I can apply them to another job. So when I was writing my curriculum, I was trying to identify my skills, and basically I was saying, like, I have experience with electronic medical records. And I was like, I feel that that undermines my skill. I did more than just writing electronic medical records, but that's what I that's what people were telling me that I needed to do. Just focus in the basic things that you know. And I started to do that. I organized my curriculum, and the solutions and what I applied to fix my curriculum was to do research about what soft and hard skills. I didn't even know the definition of it, so it was a lot of learning during all this process. So I did that research. I also started to explore different careers, different paths than the one of direct patient care. That it was the one that I thought that I was going to do for the rest of my life. So it was a little bit difficult, the switch, but the other things that I did was networking and mentorship, finding people that were, when I identified that I like public health, I started to find people with MPH, MD, MPH, and I started to talk to them, because I didn't see myself doing public health. It was more at the beginning, I felt it more like I don't have another option. So I'm going to I want to continue my education, and I'm going to go to public health, but I didn't understand what it was public health. So through mentorship, it really helped me to find a path that I little by little start to feel more like my own path. And I have here as a last solution to highlight, when you are finding those hard skills and soft skills that we have as a physicians for a different job, for example, for a pharmaceutical. What I did was pharmaceuticals, job openings. Okay, what is what they are looking for? And I was thinking, I don't know how to do anything of that. Then I have a friend that he was like, yes, you know, but I just couldn't see those skills on myself. So what I mentioned, I was underscoring my own skills, and that's something that I recommend everyone to not do. Like, just reframe your clinical experience to highlight analytical leadership and problem solving skills. As a physicians, uh, we have a lot of like we in my clinical experience, I had experience leading teams, and I didn't focus on that, and that would have been a good focus for my curriculum that at the beginning I didn't use. So those were the solutions that I had for this challenge. And the triumphs, the winnings, I found it took me a while. It took probably more than 2 years to find community, to find the people that understood my situation, because at the beginning I felt that I was going crazy at some point because I only was surrounded of Americans. But when I started to talk to other immigrants, to other women, to other people that came in similar situations like mine, I understood that it was just matter of differences. And I found community. This group of people that you see here is from a group that I've been volunteering for almost 3-4 years already. And Susan, the woman that is to my left, she's a Brazilian woman, and she was the person that helped me to do networking. We are more than 800 women in this group. So she connected me with other people working in healthcare. That's how I found, through this organization, I found my two first jobs. My first job was in a pharmaceutical. When I told Susan I need to network with more people working in healthcare, she invited me to a meeting of they were going to discuss the diversity of the workforce in St. Louis, that I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. And there was a woman from a pharmaceutical that was looking for staff, and I offered myself, and that was my first job. 2 weeks after that meeting, I got my first job in a pharmaceutical in research and development. I took that job only for 2 months because I wanted to work more in the community. And then I found, through the same organization, I found my current job as HIV and STI project director. I was very excited in my first job. Like I said, I did it. I was offered jobs as secretary. I was offered jobs as assisting, basically. Like I was offered jobs as secretary and as cleaner in healthcare organizations. And I was like, no, I know I can do way more than that. So when I found this job, I was very, very excited to find this job. And it's when I present my next challenge. This is a personal challenge. I don't know if this is going to happen for everyone, but I'm being vulnerable and transparent with you. That the first day at work, HR notified me that they needed to remove the doctor of my name because there was a complaint that without the license, I'm not a doctor in this country. I understand that it's like that. I'm not going to practice medicine, and I wasn't going to try to sell that idea, but it hit pretty hard my ego. I think it was the beginning of an identity crisis, because I felt that they were delaying 10 years of my history. And it was very emotional for me at the beginning. This is something that I will say that I have 80%. I'm in peace in an 80% with this situation. There is another 20% that I'm still like adapting, I will say. And the solutions for this is, my advice, without you asking, is to not develop your whole personality around your career. That's something that I didn't know that I did, and I definitely did that. Like I didn't build my 100% of personality around medicine, but a bigger percentage. And then when I lost being a doctor, I felt that I lost a big part of my life. So again, I was navigating immigration, navigating a new relationship, navigating a new country, navigating all of these things. And then when I finally thought that I made it, this really hit me hard. So I would say that my second advice is know your value and what you are capable of. That's what I think every day. At this moment, I would say I don't care too much what people say or think of me. I know what I bring to the table when I'm in a meeting, when I'm professionally connecting with someone. I know the value that I have, and it's something that it took me more than 2 years to, no, probably more than 2 years to feel comfortable with myself again. Because after I lost all these things, I felt that my professional self-esteem, it was pretty bad. So recover from all of that. That's what I did. I recognize my own value, and I know what I'm capable of. So that's the solution. Another one of my wins is that I've been almost 2 years in this position. I've been working with the community. I've been educating people in HIV and STIs. I've had the opportunity to present in conferences the work that we are doing, and I love it. I wouldn't change this for anything at this point. Mohammed asked me, "Would you come back to practice medicine?" And I said, "I don't know. I'm so pleased and content with what I'm doing in this moment that I'm most likely going to stay on this path." Um, in the middle, I present my next challenge. My next challenge is something that I also wish people would have talked to me more about, and it was what they called the cultural clash. I start to where I live, there are only 4% of Hispanic community, so there is not too much diversity. People are used to it, to white people and black people. So I was basically I'm a novelty here. That's how I feel. People didn't understand me. People didn't understand me. Not only my accent, didn't understand the way that I was speaking. I'm a very straightforward person, and that was interpreted as aggressivity. So I started to have another identity crisis because after after 29 years living, people had too many things to say about my personality and about my communication style and about, again, like in general, many things about my personality. So I was very confused because when your friends say it, your husband say it, at work day people say it, the same basically says that if everyone is talking about some pointing something, there has to be some truth on it. But it took me a while to understand is that all these people have in common that all of them were Americans and I wasn't. So what I did as a solution the first thing that I did was to talk to someone, to another immigrant. She was a 76 years old Venezuelan woman in my office, and I asked her one day, "Can I ask you how was your experience adapting here when you arrived to the U.S.?" And her answer was, "Take a seat and let's have a conversation." And it was a very long and emotional conversation because she basically told me everything that it was happening to me. It happened to her. And it's something that, as immigrants, most of us should keep in mind that those scenarios can happen. That it's discrimination, lack of cultural competency, people not understanding your accent, people not knowing how to respectfully say that they didn't understand you, people judging you for the differences that you have. I honestly didn't know anything about it, and it took me when I was in at the beginning of this job, it took me probably 6 months to ask someone else what's going on. Um, so my solutions to this was first learning about it. When this woman told me you are having a cultural clash, I didn't know what it was, and I tried to read about it, and it changed my relationship. It changed my relationship with my partner at work and with my friends because we start to put on the table our cultural differences. Um, the other solution is to have a network of support, even if it's your partner, family, organizations, mentor, friends, etc., because it's needed. I think just being alone, or I don't know how is your situation, but just being far from your family, far from what it's known for you, it's already difficult. And on top of that, we are trying to also develop our careers here and continue our careers here. So all of that, it's a lot. So we definitely need to be able to support ourselves with other people. And my last solution is ask for help when you need it. It's something that it took me too long to do, and I wish I would have talked to someone earlier. Because just with one conversation, I understood that I wasn't the problem. I understood that it was a cultural problem. Other trumps that I have is that, and I'm saying this because, as I mentioned, don't develop all your personality and your life around your career. So I have to be grateful with what I have. I have community. I have my family here, my American and my Colombian family. My Colombian family visits me often. That I feel that it's a privilege. I have my husband and I have a good support network, and I'm very pleased with what I have and I've been building here in the last 4 years. So I take that as a win. That's the reason I present these pictures. You see here my family, my husband, friends, and some work situations where I was able to educate the community in a bigger scale. And almost finishing, I will say that my last triumph it was to be accepted for the Masters in Public Health in Johns Hopkins. I didn't mention about the test. I applied to the test twice and I didn't pass. The first time I wasn't in the right mental space. I took me the day before the day before the test. We were having conversations with my husband about our decision of getting married. So it was a very difficult. It was just all the challenges that I mentioned. I don't think it was the right space for me to try the test, but I was stubborn and I didn't want to accept that. And I said, I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter if I fail. Now, I think I could have just be more compassionate with me and say one thing at one big decision at the time. But I wanted to do it all at the time because I was afraid to be a failure in this country. And I put myself in a difficult situation. I'm not. I don't know if it difficult is the word, but I definitely put myself in a complicated mental health space. When I say mental health, it was just the level of anxiety, not being able to even focusing and not being able the anxieties. Like, what am I going to do with my life? It was my question every day. So after I didn't pass the test, I had two options: or I tried one more time the step one, or I try to move on. I have to be honest with myself and say what is what I really want. What am I really pushing so hard for this? Is this the path that I want to walk? And I'm going to say that if I was a little bit younger, I probably would try the steps. But at my age and at a moment of my life that we are planning a family, I don't see myself doing a residence program with how demanding it's a residence program. And after trying the life of 9 to 5 jobs, I wouldn't come back. So I took the decision to apply to a master's in public health, but I'm pretty ambitious. And I said, if I'm going to apply to a master's in public health, I'm going to apply in the best university, in the best program. I went and read the requirements. The requirements are here in this slide. And as you see, it doesn't have, it's not, I mean, I don't see it. When I read the requirements, I thought to myself, I'm overqualified because they require 2 years of work experience or a medical degree and a strong academic background or public health goals and recommendation letters. The last two, those are simple and more for me in this moment that I'm working in public health. So I put those two together to build a stronger application. But just the fact that we are already physicians and that we have some years of clinical experience, and if one of you is already doing things in public health, I told myself I'm overqualified. I believe it, and I applied, thinking that I was overqualified, and I tried to build a strong application, and I was accepted. So it's been 3 weeks of classes, and I'm very excited. I'm loving it, and I wouldn't change my path. I will probably come back, if possible, I will come back to just be more compassionate with myself, but I wouldn't change the path that I took. And about informational interviews, I'm mentioning this as my last slide because it's one of the most important things that I learned and one of the most important tools that I use to connect with people. And I continue using it. It's informational interviews. They have a specific structure. And like when you go to an informational interview, you are not asking for a job, you are not asking for an opportunity, you are just wanting to get to know more that person. The idea is that when you are going to meet someone, that you prepare yourself, that you ask, that you read about this person to understand more about their field and try to ask questions related. As you see, well, professionalism, networking opportunity, this is just to get to know someone. You are not wanting to get any job or opportunity from it. And I will say that the most important is the last one, that is follow up. I've been in the other side lately, where people ask me for informational interviews. People don't follow up, and when you are trying to get when you are trying that someone gets to know you better professionally, you have to act like that and show interest. And if you meet someone today after the meeting saying thank you so much for the opportunity, thank you for the conversation, trying to find something that you said in the conversation and use that as a follow-up point. But this is one of the most helpful tools. Like, I will say that informational interviews are 80% of the success that I've had, probably networking, and it's something that I still use. And that's it. This is just a QR code that I will take you to some of my social media. I have a new project when I'm trying to promote sexual health education in English and Spanish. So you can connect with me through that QR code. And that's it. Does someone has a question?
All right, thank you, Juliana. I appreciate you. Sorry, everybody, I'm a little bit sick today, so my voice is messed up. But um, thanks for coming, Juliana. Really appreciate you and sharing your story. And I think we need more of that in the IMG community. We need to share our stories because the stage that you are in your life, somebody else is going through that right now. So just hearing it and just feeling that, hey, there's a way out. There's another way, and there's a way that I can, hey, be involved in our community and our healthcare. That would be great as well. So we're gonna open up some questions. Please raise your hand or put in the question in the chat. Um, does anybody have any question for Juliana and to learn more about the presentation?
Am I still sharing my screen?
No, you're not sharing your screen. I don't see it.
Okay, awesome.
All right. All right. I'll start. And Juliana, if you can, and I'm sure people will ask questions, but Juliana, if you could just talk about, like, if somebody wants to do, because you've been. Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. So, Juliana, how important it is to get an MPH if you want to be in the public health field, and can you get to a senior position with only your degree and experience, or do you need that MPH as well?
I don't think it's possible to. I think our options are reduced if we don't have a license or the MPH. I think our options are pretty much reduced. So I feel lucky that I found this job without an MPH and without the license. I have friends and I know a couple of people that have a similar career, but they have the license and the MPH. So I definitely will say that if you want to pursue public health career, it would be good to have the MPH.
Okay. No, thanks for sharing that. And it's the process of you getting into an MPH school. Is it simple for IMGs?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys. It's a long process because I already had all my transcripts, diplomas. I already had that translated, a certified translation. I think for the steps we have to do that. So I already have all my documentation organized. That it's probably the the more complicated part. But after that, it's just basically, and the websites are pretty. The Johns Hopkins website, it's pretty good because they walk you through. They have a checklist of all the documents that you have to get together, and it's your transcripts. They're going to ask for all your grades of all med school and your diplomas. All of that has to be translated to English, certified translations. And depending on your legal status, I would say that could maybe another situation, but I don't remember in this moment if the online program has any requirement with the legal status. I'm not sure about that one, but yeah, I will say that it's just a matter of gathering all the documentation. You have to write also an intention letter that it's why do you want to apply to the program and why you think you are a good fit for Johns Hopkins, and your curriculum. The curriculum definitely, and that's something that I didn't mention, but the curriculum here is something that also we have to learn because it has a different structure, at least than in my country. So it's learning. The important is try to accommodate to their system. So we have to. I feel that we have to find write our curriculum in a way, in a structure, in a way that it fits what they are expecting, and the intention letter. And also recommendations letters, right? They ask for recommendation letter, 2 academic recommendation letters, and 1 professional academic recommendation letter.
Thank you, Juliana. We have a statement here from Marcelo. I don't know if you want to respond to that. He says, "Hi, I'm Marcelo Urarte. I think so. That's the right. I'm sorry if I butchered your name. Plastic surgeon from Bolivia, and 14 years in the field, but familiar situation with me. When I came to the U.S., I passed step 1 and failed step 2. I'm still looking for chances to make my path in Washington. So I don't know if you want to respond to that, Juliana."
I think he said something else. It says that I have a question during the process of getting to MPH. You said you applied to many interviews. This is something very upsetting. So no, I didn't have to do any interview for the MPH. The interviews that I did, the informational interviews, were to get my jobs, the volunteering position, and it was mostly networking. But for the MPH, there is no interview. And I'm going to say that something that it helped me to feel less bad every time that I was rejected was to just do many interviews. I was applying to jobs and I was doing interviews only, like I didn't want the job, but I never did a job in another language and I needed to feel comfortable. So I was just going to interviews to practice. And I knew I didn't want the job, but that really helped me because, as you said, Marcelo, at the beginning, rejection feels pretty bad, and if we don't understand our skills and if we don't know how to sell ourselves, if we are not confident, it just feels harder. So just understand that as a physician, and I see that you are a plastic surgeon, you have a lot of skills that are pretty desirable and that we just know how to sell those skills. And to get comfortable with the interviews, just do interviews as many as you can to feel more comfortable with rejection. It's what I did.
Thank you, Juliana. And Solomon Casa has a question, and he says, "Thank you, Juliana. Did you consider retaking the exam and resuming residency journey, or is this something you think about? And how did you come to the decision of pursuing a public health career? Do you find a career in public health as fulfilling or more fulfilling than a clinical career?"
Um, those are a lot of questions, but yeah, I will say I do still think about it. I still, when I was in Colombia, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a residence program because I didn't see that lifestyle as something that I wanted to do. That's the reason I tried to pursue working with NGOs internationally. That working with NGOs internationally, it became my dream. That's what I wanted to do. But I didn't see the relationship of public health with that. I was just trying to figure out a path that fits, that it becomes my dream, but also with all the obstacles to get a residence program in my country, I didn't have, since before coming, like a strong desire to pursue a residence program. I tried to do it here just because I didn't know more options at the beginning. Yes, I think about doing the test again, but it honestly was so hard. It was so demanding. The first time that I did it, I wasn't studying too much. The first time I shouldn't even done the test. I really wasn't studying too much. But the second time I was with a 9 to 5. So I was getting up earlier to study. I was finishing work and going to study. I didn't see my friends. I didn't hang out with family. I missed things. And I did so much effort that when I finished the test, I knew that I wasn't going to pass. And I said, why am I putting myself in this situation? And I had to balance what is what I want in life. And I've been giving a lot of importance to other aspects of my life different than my career. We are planning to have a family with my husband. Do I want to do a residence program, getting paid $50,000 to $70,000 while I'm raising a kid? And do I want to do motherhood like that? Like, those were my questions. And after months of thinking about it, I decided that it's not the lifestyle that I want to do. So I think it's depending what every person wants. I think if you are still unsure of what you want for your life, I think the MPH, it's not a waste of time for, like, at all. Like, I think just doing it to I'm sorry, just doing it to continue moving in your career, moving on in your career. I'm sorry, there is an audience. Yeah, so I would encourage people to do it just in case, because the more that you try to also do more things, you have less time to study. So you have to prioritize. I said I tried to do all of everything at the same time, and it didn't work. I put myself in a situation that I'm like, why am I doing this to myself, trying to do everything? So I had to take a decision because it just becomes too much. So I just decided to go to public health. Is it more fulfilling? I'm going to say that it's different. Clinical. One of the things that I don't know if I mentioned it, but one of the things that it was hard to stop it was hard to accept when people stopped calling me doctor. It was my ego. I think that as clinicians, we have a big ego. We get treated different. I'm from a small town. Everyone knew me. Friends were going to me to help them with health issues. I was pretty helpful for my family. I was like, it just became like it was feeding too much my ego. So clinical work, I love it. I absolutely love it. But public health is just different. It's just different. I don't think it's comparable. But yes, I feel that I'm fulfilled with what I'm doing. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can say that it's more fulfilling. I will say that it's just different.
Thank you, Juliana. Sorry about that, guys. So there's another question from and Sayed Mansour. Hi, Juliana. At first, thank you and appreciate it. You talked about recommendation. What kind of recommendation are you talking about? Is it from back home or the USA?
They don't specify that. They only say they say 3 recommendations, and they suggest 2 academic recommendations and 1 professional. I tried to reach out to many doctors in my university, and it was pretty difficult. So I found 1 professional here from my current job. I found my academic, I didn't find anyone from my country that I still have a relationship to, because I think a recommendation, it's basically a personal recommendation. It becomes difficult when you don't have a relationship with people. So I reached out to many doctors, but some of them weren't working in the university anymore, and they said I can give it only with my name, and then they just didn't follow up. So I was lucky because the person that helped me with the volunteer position in Washington University doing cancer research, he already has his PhD. He was a doctor in genetics, so that worked as an academic recommendation. But I think it's difficult, in my opinion, in my position, it was difficult to find the recommendations from the academic recommendations from home. And I would say that they don't specify that. So if you don't have experience here, I think it's also valid, the recommendation from your country. They don't specify anything about it.
All right. So there's another question from Alexander. He says, "Hello, Juliana. How difficult was it to find a volunteer position in the University of Washington?" I have to say that Juliana is not in Washington State. She's in St. Louis, Missouri. What was
In
the
St. Louis, Missouri. Yeah.
what was the application process like? So can you just talk about volunteering in general, like when looking for a research or any public health job?
Those are two different paths. When I was looking for a volunteer position, basically, I didn't know how to do it. So I don't know if this is the best approach because I did it on my way. I found Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri, had a website with all the laboratories, and it has a contact person. I put all of those contact persons with an email in a spreadsheet, and I sent the same email to everyone. Hey, I'm Juliana. I'm a physician from Colombia. I want to be a volunteer. It wasn't a strong statement at all. Of course, nobody answered. Actually, one person answered, and the person said, "Could you be more specific?" And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I need a volunteer position. I don't even know because I didn't have experience in research, so I didn't know how to make a strong statement to say why I wanted to volunteer with them. So if I look back, and my recommendation is basically you have to do networking, because from all the 50 emails that I sent, I didn't get the volunteer position with those emails. I got the position through a friend that knew a researcher from Washington University. So networking, number one. And number two, it's just create a strong statement about why you want to be a volunteer. It could be like, I want to leverage my research skills while I'm practicing for my steps. Like, just be more detailed and be confident. Don't underscore your skills. Just say like, I'm ambitious. I learn fast. I just know how to sell yourself with a strong statement. But that's what I did. Networking and finding all the laboratories that are in the university. If you, for example, LinkedIn help with that, because if the website gives you the name, you go and find the person in LinkedIn. I sent many messages in LinkedIn. Hey, how are you? I'm Juliana Castellanos. I am a physician from Colombia, and I would like to. I look up to your path, and I see that you are an MD and PH. I would like to do the same. Would you mind to have a 20 minutes conversation with me? And actually, probably 80% of the people answer to the messages, and they said yes. So that's something that it's important to recognize, that there are many professionals willing to do mentorship, even if it's in a 20 minutes call.
Thank you, Juliana. There's another question. And can you share the samples of the recommendation and letters with us, like a template to the group?
I can share mine. The way that I did it, basically, honestly, I use a lot ChatGPT to help me with these things, but I don't let ChatGPT to write my things. I just write what my statements, and I also look for a structure of recommendation letters, and I start to take what the internet says, and I'm like, okay, how can I make this statement my own statement? Because of course, like, it's easier to identify when something is written and created by ChatGPT. So that's another option that I said. I can share I don't have a template. I have only my recommendation, my intention letter, because actually the recommendation letters, and that's something important in the process, they don't send the letter to me. I send them, they have a platform, and I add the person in the platform, and the person is going to receive an email, and they automatically submit the recommendation letter to that platform. I have an option to say, do I want to see the recommendation letter or not? I read about it, and they said that it's better to say no. So I don't have the recommendation letters. I don't know what people say about me. I don't have templates of that one, and I can probably share my intention letter, that it's the one that I created.
Yep. Thank you so much. And we can distribute that. Peace can work with Juliana, and we can make sure that we distribute to all of you guys. I would recommend signing up to the newsletter on the website. Everybody, if you can, we will send that out through there. So appreciate it. All right. Any more question? Feel free to come off mute if you want to talk. And if you don't feel like chatting, if you just want to ask your question straight, feel free to come off mute and for your question.
Hello.
Hello, Sayed. Go ahead.
Hello, Mama. Thank you for your opportunity. First, thank you from Juliana to share her experience with us. I think I have the same experience like Juliana because I work like same like Juliana in MSF, also Doctors Without Border. I have good experience with Doctors Without Border in with children. So um, I tried actually all the ways that Juliana has mentioned. I'm now working a pharmacy technician because I know she would be for a pharmacy technician also. So I went many places. I went many places of in Washington University. I met some doctors. I went to Mount Lake University. They promised me some things, but I didn't receive any response. So do you think they will accept our back home experience for MPH or not? So because I'm just looking for master degree opportunities like this. I think this is the only way we can go through easily. This is public health. I think just this is the only way, the easy way. So I'm just wondering about these cases. Are they accepting our recommendation, back home recommendation or not? Because I can take from Canadian because I have some teachers they are now teaching in Canada. So I can ask them for recommendation. They have good degrees now in Canada. In my back home, they got their PhD from Australian universities. Is it work or no? Or it's just this is like optional, recommendation is like optional, or this is necessarily we have to do, we have to take, we have to apply our recommendation, because the recommendation and intention is so important for this position. So just I'm wondering about this. But here in USA, I don't want to make like, okay, I'm not like I don't want to explain about this, but dears, I think no one can help us, especially the universities. They're rejecting me everywhere I'm going. I'm doctor. I have good experience. You can see, if you want, I can upload my all CV in the Telegram in our groups. I have a good experience with World Vision. This is international organization. I have with MSF. I have 2 years experience as COVID-19 ICU medical doctor. I'm the trainer of the ICU, ventilator, everything. So you're just looking, okay, that's great. This is this website. You could just go like this. Do when we are applying, we didn't receive any response from them. But you are so lucky, Julia. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you because you did so hard and you found your way. I'm so happy about this one. So I think the best opportunity for the IMG is the John Hopkins. I think this university has many opportunity for IMGs. I don't think so about the Washington University. This is just my idea. I don't know about the others, but every day when I am looking LinkedIn, so many IMGs receiving good letters, good news from John Hopkins, because I don't know why they are accepting. So I want to try John Hopkins. I don't know John Hopkins University is still in Washington or no, or just maybe in New York. Just I want to ask this question, and thank you for you. So this is the important cases, I think, recommendation and intention letters. And what's your target for MPH? This is important, You know to we have to read like abbreviation. What's going? What's your target? So this is important. I have experience here in with pharmacy, but but it's so hard to do. It's so hard to do. It doesn't mean make you like, okay, you cannot do for someone. For me, because I have responsibility of the home, I'm paying rent, I'm paying like insurance, I'm paying like these things, I'm working now, I'm preparing for UCMLE. I bought a U-Word from another country. It's like dear just make the domain of the real world. If someone want, I can mention them. I bought like $150 euro because I cannot pay the original euro. I bought from another country, from Asian country. They are just copied the domain of the euro. If someone want, I can mention them. So it's so hard, but I'm so happy. You know, every day I'm in University of Washington. I went to medical school. I applied I want to inform for IMG. They can do ultrasound. It's for 2 years in University of Washington. Sorry, in Bellevue College. It's like a specialty for IMGs, and they will receive good pay after graduation. They will pay like $50 per hours. So I applied for that one. Oh, you need to go, you need to do a prerequisites class. You need to many things they put on my way. I said I have all of them, so I'm just waiting for that one. Thank you so much, Julia. Thank you, Muhammad. I saw you in LinkedIn. Thank you so much. You make many opportunities. You're really a good man. Allah will give you everything. Allah will give you everything, Muhammad. I'm happy to meet you in LinkedIn. I remember I just text you. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Julia, so much. I'm happy about you. You find your way. I hope I reach one day at the step now you are staying now. That's great. Have a good one.
Thank you so much for that. I will say that I tried, like guys, I thought of every option that you probably are thinking of. I thought about maybe doing nursing school, maybe doing pharmacy, maybe phlebotomist, maybe a laboratory. And I think there are more options. And I think the most important message, and it's something that I've been wanting to do, and that's the reason I appreciate this opportunity, is that we have way more options than just research, pharmaceuticals, or any other type of positions in a healthcare organizations. We have more opportunities than that. I will say that I honestly don't know too many other IMGs, so I'm going to speak from my experience. But I think the impact that it has in our self-esteem and in our confidence as professionals, it's perceived by others. And if I'm going to share this, but when they told me they have to remove the doctor of my name, I came home and I told my husband I'm going to prove them that I'm a doctor. And there is still a 20% of my head that thinks that, but I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I had to just understand that Americans or people, doctors of the healthcare system in the US think in a different way, but I cannot let the way that they think of us to diminish the way that I'm going to be perceived by others. So if you would have seen me 2 years ago, I didn't have any of the confidence that I have. And if I have confidence, it's just because I really have gone through so many things in this country that I feel that there is nothing else that can come at this moment and surprise me. So I don't know. I think it's definitely difficult for all of us to try to find our paths here. My path may not be the path for all of you or for some of you, but it's just matter of there are options. Just what is what you want to do, how is that you want to define your career, and what is what you are willing to quit. Because if you if you don't want to pursue the USMLE, we have to quit to the idea of what we thought it was going to be. It was difficult, it's painful, it's emotional, because I thought my whole life that I was going to be a doctor seeing patients. And the idea to quit to that, it was very difficult to accept in my head. I'm still working on that. Like, even though if you see me confident and thriving, I still have days that I think about all of these things and I'm like, I don't know. I just wonder, should I do my residency? Should I do something else? Is this really what I really want? That happens with more time. Those days are less often. At the beginning, they were every day, but those questions just come less often now. And it's just really matter in believing in yourself, believing in your skills, and do not let the system tell you what you are capable of. We know what we are capable of, and this is a system that we are breaking in, and they just know what to do with us. But that doesn't mean that there are not options. That just means that we have to find or maybe create those options. Like, I feel that that's what I'm doing. I feel that I'm creating my option, because I didn't tell you this, but when I got my job in research and development in the pharmaceutical, I had no idea what was the job. My mom called me and she's like, "What is the job?" And I'm like, "Research and development." "What is that?" I'm like, "I have no idea." But in the interview, I said that I learn fast, that I'm capable of doing everything, that I have experience in. If I did one day one PCR, I said, like, I have experience doing PCR, gel electrophoresis. I spoke so high of me that I convinced them that I knew what I was talking about. And the reality is that I didn't know. It happened the same when I was the HIV director. I said, "Director? Can I be a director? Like, I was a doctor. How am I going to be directing? How am I going to manage people? What did you mean, a budget?" And I asked in the interview, "My only concern is the budget." And my supervisor said, "Oh, don't worry for that. I'm going to take care of that." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm capable of this. I can do it." I had no idea what I was doing. But once that I didn't know what I was going to start to do. But as soon as you get to the job and you're like, "Oh, HIV. Oh, of course I know this." And that's the importance. When I start to see that I was good at what I was doing, and that I had a perception of the problems of the public health problems that we were facing in with doing HIV prevention, there were nurses, there were medical assistants, but there were other type of healthcare workers, administration, but very few of them could understand my perception. And I said that I noticed that it came from my medical experience. If I didn't have my background, I wouldn't be able to approach the problem in the way that I'm doing it. And when I said, "Oh, this is coming from my experience," I started to just feel more confident with myself. And I just recognized that even though if I didn't know at the beginning, we are fast learners. We get healthcare situations easy. We understand. We read literature. We can understand any paper from any topic, even if it's going to take us a while. We may have to do some more research, but we are pretty good at many other healthcare jobs that just I believe that we just weren't trained for that. And yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but it definitely takes a lot. But just believe in yourself, guys. It's really possible. We just have to believe that we can.
Thank you, Juliana. And because we're over time, thank you for staying more time. I appreciate it. We're gonna close this after this last question from Marcelo. Juliana, just one more question about positions. Did they requested any language proficiency test like OET or TOEFL? How did you address that?
Yeah, so that changes depending your legal status. Just when I didn't have my green card, everything that I was applying, they were requesting a TOEFL. Of course, I did it the first time, but I was a B1, and some of the jobs needed a B2 minimum or a C1. And as you see, I'm not even there yet. But once that I got my green card and my legal status changed, as a resident, they don't request the TOEFL anymore.
Awesome. Thank you. With that being said, we will end the meeting right here. Appreciate you, Juliana, for coming on and sharing your experience, sharing your story, and giving inspiration to all our IMGs. And I feel that it's important to talk about this. A lot of people they go through this alone, and at TIMGA we're trying to create a community where you don't go through this alone. I will work with Juliana to create a blog about all the resources and everything, so we can easily share everything with you guys. And again, if you Juliana, if people want to message you, what's the best place to get in touch? Is it LinkedIn? Is it what's the best place for people to ask you follow-up stuff?
I would say that you can connect with me through email, LinkedIn, and those are the two best options. So I can
Awesome.
share that information with Peace, and she can help me to disseminate information.
Sounds good. Peace will share that information with all you guys so you guys can get in touch with Juliana. And appreciate you guys. Thanks again, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your day and stay warm if you're in a cold area.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.